Alright, this is Pinus thunbergii, Japanese thunderhead pine, which Wayside Gardens lied to me and said it only gets 6 foot tall. They did not inform me that was the 10-year size, so I planted this thing at my porch. I've been working on training it for years, which is going on about 7 or 8 years now. A teeny tiny thing when I planted it. The reason for this is I want to ask y'all, alright, a lot of all pines shed. They go through a shedding cycle in the fall, early winter, etc., which it's December 11th to be exact. Anyway, most needles come off dead. I've noticed this thing, for some reason, now these needles will hold possibly through the spring of next year till next fall cycle, but they're only half dead. What causes that? Please somebody tell me. Because it makes it look like shit. And my OCD autistic ass don't like that at all. But up here it's fine. Down there, they're freezer burnt. I don't get it. My weeping bald cypress that I'm trying to train into a knot to be an arbor to come over the sidewalk eventually, because my Kwanzaa cherry is slowly but surely dying. I don't know if the wind or the polar vortex or what's getting it, but it lost half of its canopy during the polar vortex and has lost more limbs each winter from then. Bonfire patio peach that I'm trying to train into a topiary, which I have trained it into a topiary. Gotta have the unusual. Of course, my palms that I showed y'all earlier. Progense viburnum that I tree formed. There were 2 until the lights got changed. And I don't think that light would have did well in a giant bush. Weeping willow. Not sure what variety, but I got this as a child from Gurney's. It was a little whip that I put in the ground, and I used to keep it topped, but when they built the house on its dump spot, down there at the sinkhole, which you can see the back of, that house there, it hasn't got topped since. But the reason I'm showing this to you is this is the nastiest tree God ever put on earth. All of this is from a couple weeks. When I break this up, we'll have another wind event, and all the willow whips will be back. Since I showed y'all the snake bark maple, well, not the snake bark, this is the snake bark, but I showed y'all the coral bark. This is our native snake bark maple. This is Acer pennsylvanicum. Moose wood, striped maple. There's another variety called a mountain maple that I've never seen in person, but grows similar and close. Beautiful tree. Has these bright red twigs on it during the winter, and buds. This is its bark. This right here should show you why it's called the snake bark maple. It's because very snake-like, striped, beautiful tree. Love it. Why people didn't plant these and planted big silver maples that they cut to look like a giant stump that are ugly, I do not know. When they could have planted this and never had to touch it. It only gets 20 to 30 foot. And it's beautiful year-round. Why people don't plant it, I do not know. One day I'll venture up there. There at my tip of my finger is a Carl Fuchs deodar cedar. The only deodar cedar that's hardy enough to survive here. That one survived the polar vortex. No damage whatsoever. Another strong, healthy, hardy tree that does not damage or frostbite in the spring. This one, and this one here. This is the butterfly Japanese maple. It's a variegated form of maple. Green and white, and in the spring it's kind of pinkish. No matter how leafed out it is, or whatever, or how late in the spring when we have a freeze or a frost, which all my maples get bit every every single year from a late frost or freeze. This one has never got frostbit. It's growing in nothing but gravel that they dumped when they widened and paved the street. And it's up here at the top, a very exposed location, and does not damage whatsoever by the wind. Don't let people with butterfly maples tell you that they're finicky, because they are not. At least my two aren't. They have the worst growing conditions out of any of the maples, and they're doing better than any of the maples because they don't frostbite. When all my others get zapped. That mountain, that is the first mountain, or the last mountain, depending on which way you come, in the Appalachian chain. On the west side, everything to the west is lower in elevation, so we get very terrible winter winds here, downsloping. But I'm growing palms here, which that's a sheltered area. I call it my Buddha garden, or Zen garden. And palms are easier than what you think to grow. If my redneck ass can grow them, anybody can. One last thing. Here's a hardy cactus. It's a cholo cactus of some kind from Colorado. And it's wilted due to the freezing temperatures, but it's still alive. But look at this thing. Ain't it beautiful? I need 10 or 20 more of them. If you can't grow coral bark, try Japanese sunrise. Opposite coloration and 1,000 times hardier. Beautiful tree. Hopefully one day it'll be this gigantic red piece that I've made weird and look Japanese on top of my rocks I've collected. Even though it don't look natural, I'll try to make it look as natural as possible. Anyway, I'll make y'all another video at some point. Thanks for looking at my youngins. I live in a beautiful area, and hopefully I can make it more beautiful over time. See you, bye.